On the Move is brought to you by Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tyre. In this edition, the glitz and glamour of the Melbourne Motor Show. A video first, Paris to Cape Town rally action. Joe Kelly and the Suzuki Vitara, the latest V6 Coupes. And exclusive to On the Move, the magnificent new Mazda RX-7. Plus much, much more.
Hi and welcome to the second edition of On the Move from the Melbourne Motor Show. A show, like On the Move, jam-packed with action, as Melbourne attempts to win back its mantle as Australia's number one.
That's right, Wayne. And armed with around $800 bonus from the recent sales tax cuts, there's lots of good reasons for people to be out there looking at what is the latest in moping. And we'll be bringing you that in a moment with the full story of the Melbourne Motor Show. But don't you go away. We'll be right back after this break.
You might think tires are pretty boring, but if you had to land a Harrier jet on an aircraft carrier 338 meters long, you might think differently about the tires you wear. Little wonder then why the U.S. Navy choose to fit Dunlop tires to their Harrier jets. So keep your family safe. Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tires. A return to stylish performance. The new Mazda 626 hatch. Dynamic design plus V6 power.
Very important thing.
Showtime 92 was set to be a showdown of the Motown giants, Hodlen bringing in the big guns to launch its Senator.
I'd like to think that I'd perhaps inspired the name, but I very much doubt that. Holden Special Vehicles have created a special niche for itself in the Australian automotive industry.
Holden's new HSV Senator wins its name from European family ties. It replaces the SV5000 and now gets a 200 kilowatt V8 motor and anti-lock brakes, leather and HSV suspension. Over on the other side of town, Henry was getting chummy with Mr. Tickford. He's that distinguished British chappie who, like Tom Walkinshaw, makes wondrous performance changes. The Tickford XR8 V8 Falcon, it's set to rekindle a legend 25 years on. In fact, this show is something of a mecca for legends. Sterling Moss at the show both to endorse Tickford and to update on the Targa Tasmania.
The car that I'm driving is called a Shelby Mustang from 64 to 67. They're all about the same cars for 3 years, and it really is absolutely staggering how nice it is to drive.
The new Tickford Falcon GT goes on sale later in the year. The champ, Holden HSV boss John Crennan, reckons they've still got a bit to work out.
I think they've looked at a different market research document to what we're working on. I think unless they've quite deliberately decided to go for a different niche to what we are, but we've found that the market now, that the enthusiast performance market, they're wanting a little bit more in the European high-tech, sophisticated, arrogant look, whereas this particular vehicle here is obviously a much stronger, aggressive thing, so whether that can last the passage of time, I guess, remains to be seen.
The importance of the Melbourne show also isn't missed on importers. Honda choosing to launch the new CRX here just ahead of its European debut at Geneva. Irresistible for the sporty set, there's real innovation here for 30 grand. An easily stylable Targa roof and a wind in the hair bonus even when the top's on. Certainly the Honda stand was to be the centrepiece of the show. And we'll be back with the second half of the show report after this break.
classic sports coupe that'll steal your heart. The new Mazda MX-6, where passion meets performance.
With a focus on the environment, micromotoring has a big future. Incredibly, this Daihatsu Opti can take 4 adults and luggage, one of 3 babies for Daihatsu at the show.
Microcar, Maxi technology. The Daihatsu Mirror shows off all the latest in technology from Japan. It's got to be half a chance. In fact, it's half a car.
For Mazda, the show was to be an ideal test case for fold-up motoring, the perfect approach to the new star-billing RX-7. And if you're in the 35 to 50 year group with 70 grand to spend, Subaru's got just the number. The new SVX to tempt you away from Mazda's similarly priced RX-7. Subaru has 4-wheel drive and a 3-litre flat-6 motor, but quirky glass panel styling. On balance, the recession-hit heartland of Australia's motor industry has sure done its bit to turn up the bright lights and kick-start the economy with a new model-led recovery.
Hi, I'm Jo Kelly, and shortly I'll be taking you for a ride in this, Suzuki's new and exciting lightweight 4-wheel drive wagon, the 4-door Vitara.
Tasmania, the beautiful island state with its mountains, forests, lakes and rivers, and its English countryside. And in April this year, 1992, one of the finest collections of classic cars ever gathered in one place. Absolutely superb, aren't they? And just a tiny fraction of the beautiful classic cars that we've seen in Targa, Tasmania in April. Targa, Tasmania is a 2,000-kilometre, 5-day classic car rally starting in picturesque Launceston on April 29th. And we'll see these magnificent vehicles competing one against the other and against the clock. The event will be run on public roads, closed to allow the special competitive sections to take place, in an atmosphere which will evoke memories of the past, of classic events like the Miller Media. The Targa has the sanction of the Tasmanian government through its tourist arm, Tourism Tasmania, and for almost a week the island state will be turned over to motoring enthusiasts from around the world. From the well-known to the almost unheard of, Targa Tasmania will provide a feast of classic auto memorabilia, and all of it set against the perfect backdrop of Tasmanian scenery. And we'll be there to capture it all on video, ready for you in the next exciting edition of On the Move, only 2 months away.
A big pussy, or can Jaguar claw their way back in Australia? Coming up in On the Move.
When it comes to road holding, in any conditions, wet or dry, nothing equals Dunlop. And when Dunlop says road holding, Dunlop means road holding. Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road holding tyres.
Luxury car sales may be awash with the watershed of the heady 80s, but Jaguar is convinced its future here is secure. Millions have been tipped into design, development and service to assure the continued heritage of this opulent motoring. As an example, more than 180 of the 490 panels are new in the 92 XJS, its top gun in an updated 7-model lineup for Australia. Significantly, it's got more boot, both performance and luggage space. Russell, an elegant new rear style, you must be pleased.
The styling has come up tremendously well. I'm very pleased with the way the car looks and also in the way it drives.
Something like $10 million spent in the development of it. Where has it gone?
The development of it, I think if we go back historically, it started some 10 years ago when they first started designing this version of the coupe, and it's gone in more recent times into improving quality. Literally the whole body is being re-stamped, and total new facilities online, the investment in terms of assembling it, of stamping the panels, Plus a lot of the mechanical features have changed as well.
Without any disrespect to Jaguars, the nostalgic element, particularly with your type of market, do you think that that's growing?
Nostalgia perhaps. The research, bear in mind we talk directly to the customers on it, is that they like the styling we've got. So it's an evolution rather than a revolution, but it's what our customers are telling us they want to see happen with the car. They don't want a radically new car. This is what they wanted to see, the refinement of the past car. And I think that the Jaguar have achieved that very well.
Do you feel that people are threatened by technology?
That's an interesting question. I don't think they feel threatened by it. They like it. I don't think they understand the complexity of the modern car, a lot of them. But they want the technology as long as it doesn't cause them any problems.
All right, so the new big cats have sharpened their claws. Can they really fight back in the Australian market?
I'm very confident, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here today. We've got the product. We've got the quality right now. The reliability is an issue of the past. And more so than ever, we've got the dealers focusing on servicing.
In fact, the 92 Jaguars are now a real leap ahead in durability. Those light washers get a 10,000 cycle test. The memory seat, 50,000, just as an indication. The insurance policy, a 48,000k 2-year warranty. And as well, there's distinguished endorsement of the legendary handling and dynamics with some help from a dab hand. Part of this package will be advanced driver training courses for anyone who buys one of these new improved Jaguars. But as far as Sir Jack Braddon is concerned, sir, what is the involvement that you'll have with Jaguar?
Well, I'm here to help promote the new XJ6 and the XJS sport models, and as I'm extremely impressed with the handling of these cars and the way they go. But the new model now, with the new suspension that they have on it, would make it probably one of the safest and best handling cars I've ever been in.
Apart from the handling, what do you see as the appeal?
Well, I think it's a very prestigious car for a start, and it's very luxurious and beautifully finished, and it's an absolute pleasure to drive.
Strong words indeed from a triple world champion. But it's this new recession-beater 3.2-litre multi-valve XJ6 at $100,000 that's the real centrepiece. Half the cost of the magnificent convertible, it's packing the punches in Jaguar's fightback. This new 3.2 is a longer stroke version of the 2.9. That in turn was half of the original V12. Now the downside is that it's slightly more noisy than those original and wonderful cast iron XK motors. The big plus, however, is that with the use of alloys, its power to weight is terrific because it is such a lightweight motor. There are more than 25,000 Jags still on roads down under. Most are XJ6s, sold over the past 2 decades. Their silence, deck performance, agility and club-like comfort assuring affection above more sharp-edge technology. In fact, of all the luxury leaders, Jaguar's image is little tarnished by the Japanese high-tech assault. The recent sales downturn is much due to a lack of stock in a changeover from the previous importers to the new Jaguar Australia. So, key models in the new lineup? The new Jaguar XJ6 3.2 at $100,000, XJ6 Sport Pack 4-litre, $128, XJS Coupe Sport, $148, XJS V12 Convertible, $196,000. Technically, the popular 4-litre, it's 149 kilowatts of power, J-Gate ZF4HP 22 auto shift, and performance, Jag claims top speed, 210 k's, 0 to 100, 10.1 seconds, fuel, 14.4 litres per 100, that's 20 miles per gallon. They may look the same, the rich leather smells the same, and the velvet handling is better than ever. But underneath, the big difference with the 92 Cats is the real result from a $120 million cash-up. The quality and finish is the best ever.
Computerised four-wheel steering adds a new twist to Japan's Super Coupes. Coming up on
Just outside Paris on the morning of December 23rd as 330 vehicles set off on an epic adventure. Their destination, 7,500 miles and 25 days away, Cape Town on the tip of Africa. Long drive heading south through the Libyan oil fields. They'll stop first of all at Sirte, Sabah, El Kabir, and then cross the mountains to Tumu and into Niger, across the Tenere Desert to Dirku, and then on to Nguimi. The retirements began almost as soon as the rally. Mercandelli was the first customer for the air ambulance. On December the 26th, this was the most significant event of the day, and as it turned out, the entire rally on four wheels, as Ari Vatanen hit a rock and ripped out his suspension, losing 2 hours in the desert. And after just 2 of the second day's stage, killing both crew members. Next day, when Oriol had navigation troubles, Bruno Sabi took the lead, but his moment of glory was short-lived. The Pajero rolled in the desert, and he lost. Untroubled during the course of the day, Hubert Oriol took his second stage victory of the event, and with it, he claimed the overall lead of the Paris-Cape Town Rally. While Peter Hansel led on 2 wheels, Oriol led on 4 wheels in the heavyweight section. Perlini dominated, followed by Locre and the Tatra and 2 Pinot Rangers. On New Year's Day, the rally moved into Chad, and on January the 3rd, crossed into the Central African Republic. Next day, they entered Cameroon, and the next had the rally's shortest special stage of 47 miles as the raiders crossed into Gabon. By January the 7th, they arrived at Pointe Noire in the Congo and sidestepped Zaire by sea en route for Lobito in Angola. This is the southern end of Chad, and the terrain was changing as the raiders moved out of the desert and headed towards the African.
Hi, kids.
Hi, Sally.
Sorry, Sal, I'm running late.
Be there soon.
It's everything you've waited for. The new Mazda 626. Stylish by design, elegant by nature.
Be cheerful about the whole thing. The net result was that Weber was now 16 minutes behind in second place, Shinazuka third, and the Citroens about 15 minutes closer than they were fourth and fifth. By January the 7th, all the Pajeros had to do was maintain station into Cape Town, and Mitsubishi would have the 1-2-3 they wanted. Vatanen was winning stages, but it made little effective difference to the outcome of the rally. Shinazuka had been closing on Weber, even drawn level, to make the order a Mitsubishi 1-2-2, but now he was 50 only into South Africa. Organisational difficulties caused much of the stage mileage to be changed to liaison, so the rally was all but over now. And even the final stage, a short symbolic super special, celebrates with champagne, and here's the way the cars finished. Oriol from Weber and Shinazuka, Mitsubishi 1-2-3, Voldegaard and Vatanen right behind.
When you start talking pure and simple good looks and appeal on wheels, it's hard to go past a 2-door coupe. And the 2 newest kids on the block, Mazda's superbly styled MX-6 and Honda's less radical Prelude SI, are no exception. The MX-6 follows Mazda tradition, its styling a subtle blend of practical aerodynamics with a flair for life on the wild side. Honda, on the other hand, went for a design that's a little staid by comparison, perhaps hoping for a slightly older, upper executive clientele. Irrespective of differences in styling, very much a matter of personal taste anyway, it's on the road and under the bonnet where both cars shine. Both have computerized electronic four-wheel steering, a feature that puts them well ahead of the pack in terms of on-road dynamics. It gives them precise cornering, neutral handling, the rear wheel steer negating any hint of front drive understeer, and superb traction at the limits. If there's any criticism at all, it must be of the Honda's overly sensitive power assist, which makes the steering just a little too light. Open the bonnet and again you'll immediately notice a difference in approach. Honda has chosen to stick with 4 cylinders, an all-new, twin-cam, 16-valve, 2.3-litre, fuel-injected power plant producing 118 kilowatts. It just begs to be described as one of the finest 4s ever built. The motor offers exceptionally smooth tractable power right through to a peak of 7,000 RPM. All this thanks to clever engineering like twin balance shafts and a new variable length inlet manifold. Mazda, however, has flicked its harsh turbocharged 2-litre 4 in favour of a new 24-valve injected V6. The 2.5-litre engine is also remarkably silent and smooth, with astounding flexibility from its 121 kilowatts. Again, major advances in engine technology thanks to clever inlet manifolding producing power throughout the engine's rev range. There's hardly a gnat's wing of difference between them. On the road, all this technology translates to sparkling performance. The Mazda's V6 engine seems quicker off the mark than the Honda, but the stopwatches proved us wrong. The 0 to 100 kilometres an hour came up in just 8.52 seconds in the Honda, a smidgen ahead of the Mazda at 8.54. Point to point over any given distance though, and you'd never pick between them. The Honda's remarkably efficient 4-cylinder engine put it ahead in the fuel consumption stakes, with an overall advantage over the Mazda V6 of around 10% better economy. In both cars, you sit low in body-hugging contoured seats. Both offer great forward visibility, but are limited rearward. The low seating position and rear spoiler being the culprit in the Mazda, the relatively high boot line making its presence felt in the Honda. Mazda has made better use of the interior space and claims a slight advantage over the Honda, especially in terms of rear seat accommodation. Both, in all honesty though, are two-seaters with room in the back. The Honda also has slightly less front seat leg or knee room, a compromise between its very low dash and excellent forward vision. The finish in both cars is very high, and the standard equipment includes electric mirrors, electric sunroof, adjustable steering, air conditioning, anti-lock braking, and in both, superb stereo. Again, the Mazda edges just ahead with the standard inclusion of a compact disc player.
Well, James, what do you think? Have we got a winner? Let's take a look at it. First up, I think you've got to look at style, and that's very much a matter of personal opinion, but they do compare favourably with the best from Europe. Cars like the Calibra, which I think is really a benchmark. What about the engine?
I think you'd have to say with the smooth power from the V6 that the Mazda does edge ahead.
Then you've got the four-wheel steering, and that definitely adds to the package.
I guess so, and overall, the dynamics of both cars are great, and then, again, the Mazda edges ahead, probably by the thickness of a CD. And what we're doing here is redefining the affordable sporty market.
Coming up next, we're on the move together in the new Suzuki Vitara 4-wheel drive wagon.
Roman Autotech, creative automotive design whose engineering integrity and excellence of craftsmanship is unquestioned in the Australian marketplace. Recaro seats, a motorsport heritage translated to orthopaedically correct design, unparalleled manufacturing excellence and absolute safety, tempered with unmatched aesthetic appeal. Combined, a force to lead the Australian automotive aftermarket into the 21st century.
Hi, I'm Jo Kelly, and in this edition of On the Move, it's something a little different for me, a 4-wheel drive. I mean, I used to think of 4-wheel drives as big, heavy, cumbersome things that you need to be built like a wrestler to drive. Well, today, that's far from the truth. And smallest of them all is the Suzuki. For 1992, the 4-door wagon is set to entice the young family, and I'd say in particular the young mum, to look at the advantages of a 4-wheel drive. The wagon is remarkably quick and nimble in traffic, its engine is responsive and the steering light. Handling is precise and there's certainly not the sort of body roll I expected from a vehicle with a much higher centre of gravity than I'm used to. The ride is certainly a bit bumpier than my usual car, but then again the Vitara is a 4-wheel drive and it is built genuinely to go off-road. The relatively high seating position gives you excellent forward vision, but the rear seat headrests and spare wheel does restrict what you see behind you. I also found that there are a couple of bad blind spots off to the rear, even with the big exterior mirrors. The seats are comfortable too, and the manual gear change is smooth and precise. All up, it's a great looking, fun package with plenty of spirit and the get up and go to show the boys up at the lights. So let's take a quick look at why it's such fun to drive. And under here is what it's all about. In the new Vitara wagon, Suzuki introduced a nippy 1.6-litre single overhead cam engine that boasts 16 valves, and it has the very latest multi-point fuel injection. That gives the little wagon 70 kilowatts of power, and in a package this size, that means sparkling performance. Couple this with a choice of 5-speed manual or 4-speed electronically controlled automatic transmission, and you're really starting to talk appeal with a capital A. The Vitara styling is right up to the minute, macho verging on cute, and the wagon, despite its extra length, doesn't look at all ungainly. As I mentioned earlier, I think the Vitara wagon will really appeal to the young mum. There's plenty of room for baby buckets and seats, and plenty of room in the luggage area for toys, pushes, and shopping. But do bear in mind that the Vitara, classed as a commercial vehicle, doesn't come with child restraint mounts fitted. You'll have to have them fitted as extras before you pick up the new wagon. If the kids are a little older, it'll be space for boogie boards and mates, but either way there's still plenty of room without being big and cumbersome. Nice touches include the split rear seats for longer loads and the wide opening rear door. Well, that's it from me for edition 2. I'm Jo Kelly. It's been great fun, and I look forward to seeing you in edition 3. See you soon. Bye.
For 1992, Volvo introduces its most powerful engine ever, the 150 kilowatt, 24-valve, fuel-injected V6. And it shows up right here in this car, the 960, the $86,000 flagship of the range, which by mid-year is set to become 80% of Volvo's total sales in Australia. It's under here that the Volvo technicians have really done their homework. The all-alloy 24-valve double overhead cam fuel-injected V6 is a superb power plant. Developed 150 kilowatts of power, and it's got most of its torque right down low at around the 1,000 RPM mark. That's fantastic for getting off the mark. It's also fantastic for those people who'd like to use this car to tow a caravan or a boat. They've used the latest in laser technology to design the combustion chambers for the most fuel-efficient combustion that they can get. This has resulted in a silky smooth power band right from standstill to the top of the rev range. It surely is a truly superb engine. On the road, the Volvo is remarkably responsive. It's smooth and quiet and deceptively fast. In fact, the performance of the new 960 will give the established Volvo knockers quite a shock. The 960 is a big car in every sense of the word, but at the same time produces a level of handling you'd expect from something a lot smaller. Volvo's superb handling can be attributed to its multi-link rear suspension, where the final drive, or dip, is mounted to the body by a system of rubber bushes. This reduces the unsprung weight of the rear axle and allows softer suspension to be used without affecting handling. The 960 also has an automatic self-leveling system to keep the car on an even keel when towing or carrying a load. And not for a moment forgetting its marketing position, Volvo has combined this soft, limousine-like ride with a level of interior comfort and quietness that will put many of its more expensive competitors to shame. With standard features like leather seats with electronic memory and Volvo's award-winning lumbar support, multi-function electric sunroof with dash-mounted controls at your fingertips, a first-class cruise control and an air conditioning system, or electronic climate control, featuring a very effective set-and-forget system relying on sensors throughout the car feeding information to a microprocessor control unit. A superb stereo sound system rounds out the luxury package with multi-directional speakers in all doors and in the dash. Speaking of which, the dash in the 960 is very clear and easy to read, in the Volvo tradition, providing plain, simple instrumentation to transfer information to the driver without the need of bar graphs, digital readouts, or any other flash gimmickry. Of course, safety is always high on the Volvo list, whether it's the pre-tension seat belts, special child restraints, 3-point centre rear seat belt, ABS anti-lock braking, or simply the headlight wiper washers. And of course, the safety cell principle, for which Volvo has always led the world, is just as true of the latest 960. Front and rear impact crumple zones, greater collapsibility of the steering column, and of course the fuel tank is mounted ahead of the rear axle for greater protection in rear impacts. With the new 9 Series Volvo, you have the option of choosing the factory-fitted supplementary restraint system. That's an airbag, and it's available in the Volvo for $1,500 as an option, and that's nearly 2.5 times less than the same airbag option on most other competitive vehicles. The Volvo really is remarkably smooth. The 4-speed electronic transmission is really a subtle touch. It's got 3 modes: economy, is obvious, it's got power, which gives you performance when you need it, and there's a wet or winter system. And that allows you to use the automatic gearbox like a manual transmission to stop wheel spin. And it also engages a downhill engine braking through the automatic gearbox. And Volvo, of course, has the reputation for being inherently safe. And enhancing the safety record now is their new SIPS, or Side Impact Protection System. That means there's more safety built into the doors, and in a side impact, that transfers to the B-pillar and into the entire body structure of the car. And it reduces one of the major points of serious injury and death in car accidents.
With Nissan's Vitara winding up production and Ford's Corsair clone also off the market, it's this car, the new Ford Telstar and TX5 range, which could well become our most popular medium model. Mid-size car sales are on the march, big 6s and V8s falling. So keep an eye on the rear view mirror if you drive a Magna or Camry. This is the competition. As a Mazda clone, it's one of a new Japanese generation, a generation that's broken the mould. New local Japanese law now allows wide bodies, more than the old 1770mm limit, and bigger 2-litre plus motors. And the Japanese designers are making the most of it with both 4s and 6s.
Under the bonnet, Ford's new V6 double overhead cam 24-valve engine. It's remarkable power. And importantly for Ford, this is the first time in 10 years that they've offered a 6-cylinder engine in their medium-sized car range. And of course the other important feature of this car is for the first time it puts 4-wheel steering within the price range of the average buyer. So at last we're beginning to see a realistic crossover between pricing and technology. And with the new Ford TX5 there's the total package. There's V6, 4-wheel steer and the hatchback.
Mate, the only reason that you like your smart steering is it helps out with your limited driving ability.
But James, you don't even know how to spell technology.
Easy. Seriously. I've just been doing the numbers here. And this V6, in old terms, 165 horsepower, and you shouldn't forget the 4-cylinder, 115 from that 2-litre engine. That certainly can't be ignored. Certainly there's plenty of power for towing or good overtaking speeds. But what I like also is that for the price and the package that you get with the 4, it gives away very little to the V6 4-wheel steering. I guess that at lower speed there's good turning with the 4-wheel steering, but at normal touring speed the 4 handles extremely well. I'd have to concede that at tight turning speed the 4-wheel steer does have the inside running. This is high-tech Ringer Rosie. The win, not only a tighter turning circle, 1.2 metres less for the 4-wheel steering model, yes, you guessed it, that's the dark car, but more responsive turn-in for highway lane changing. The smart steering turns the rear wheels in the opposite direction up to 60 kilometres, the same direction above 60 kilometres an hour and at half the angle of the front wheels. The speed-sensitive power assistance now has more oomph. With all this electronic gee-wizardry, you could be forgiven for missing the real action. This is a great-looking car, 4 or V6. The new Telstars are a reflection of the extraordinary attention to detail. Integrated spoiler, integrated brake lights, sweeping, flowing design that leaves little room for options, plus fit and finish with extraordinarily close tolerances. Bonuses are an aero pack for the 4-wheel steer, side skirts and a bib spoiler, accommodating split rear seats with hold-down straps for the luggage, plus flame retardant and anti-static trim. Interestingly, these Ford clones do particularly well compared to their Mazda cousins. The air conditioning vents have a swing mode, a feature that used to be on equivalent Mazdas, and of course there's the combo of V6, ABS and 4-wheel steering you only get with the more sporty MX-6 in the Mazda range. There's a lot of value, performance and user comfort here. And with either the V6 or the 4, the Telstars get a stamp of stylish and intelligent motoring.
Rural Australia, the haven of the Holden ute. But for some years, it's something that's been missing, since the introduction of the Commodore in fact. And now, with the new Commodore ute, Holden has leapt back into the fray. The 5-litre Holden V8 ute is unique. No other manufacturer offers a vehicle like it in Australia, and at Easter this year, it will take another step into the history books when it makes its racing debut on Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Yes, Virginia, that's right, racing. Never before has anyone in their right mind considered racing a tail-happy ute. But the latest offering from Holden has advanced to such an extent in road holding and handling that it seemed to the powers that be an obvious step. We'll be waiting and watching in awe as it challenges the might of the mountain in the Easter 12 hour. But let me kid you not, the humble Holden ute has come a long way. Well, it would appear that when GM's designers were told that they had to make the ute big enough that you could get into it with an Akubra hat, they weren't kidding. They've certainly done a great job, and there's plenty of room in this cabin, headroom as well. I mean, I'm particularly long-bodied, and I have a lot of trouble in a lot of vehicles getting head clearance. But in the ute, for a change, I've got it. Not only that, this is probably the first ute I've driven for years where you've been able to get real seat adjustment. The buckets wind back so that you can get into a full, straight-arm driving position without any problems at all. And as far as handling and road holding is concerned, this ute really is a beaut. You don't get the back end breaking away. You don't get actual shudder all the time. It just drives along smooth, tight, and really under control the whole time. I guess it's a really good indication of the amount of work that GM's engineers have put into the rear end of this ute, tying the coils down to give you a really good, strong, firm ride, but it's comfortable. Under the bonnet is 5 litres of HSV-enhanced fuel-injected V8, which gives the ute great gobs of grunt. More power, in fact, than you're ever likely to need under normal circumstances. As a workhorse, though, that translates to big, lazy load carrying and towing power, and a fantastic safety margin. When you come up to something like this truck, the 4-speed auto is great. It powers down from overdrive, and you're past in no time. It's a great safety margin, and it's safety all the way. While Holden's sales expectations for the ute have not been as good as hoped for, thanks to our failing rural and trade economies, the HSV-enhanced formula and the even more powerful HSV Maloo have certainly created an awareness which will bear fruit as things improve.
Despite hazardous conditions, Toyota has taken the outright laurels in car sales, and it's this car that's been a key factor, the Lexan. It looks like a Holden, and with the exception of badges and a unique specification, is identical. Around 5,000 were sold during 1991, the vital edge that put Toyota ahead. 6-cylinder sales are on the decrease, but you still need a big 6 to be serious about market leadership, and that's what Toyota now has. With the latest models, CSI, VXI mid-range, and the luxury Newport, Toyota no doubt plans to sail further ahead this year. Based on the latest BP Holden Commodore, Lexan gets all the upgraded features, including body colour bumpers, new grille, and most importantly, the excellent security system. Behind the wheel it's impressive too. What's important here is a package that spells comfort. It's the combination of the new soft ride independent rear suspension and the power steering and automatic transmission. But what it does mean is they're also handled with great precision. Suspension's a bit soft, and I believe Toyota would do well to offer the optional FE2 handling pack from the Commodore. But there's no doubt the independent rear end standard on the Newport works really well. Prices range from around 30 grand up to $37,000 for the Newport, the top model offering a huge range of standard equipment, items like smooth power from the 3.8 litre 127 kilowatt V6, which is outstanding and very smooth. Overall, offering an extremely refined package.
And coming up soon, the moment you've all been waiting for. On the Move's exclusive preview of the magnificent twin-turbo Mazda RX-7.
You might think tires are pretty boring, but if you had to land a Harrier jet on an aircraft carrier 338 meters long, you might think differently about the tires you wear. Little wonder then why the U.S. Navy choose to fit Dunlop tires to their Harrier jets. So keep your family safe. Stick with Dunlop, the world's best road-holding tires.
Well, this really is the Australian motor industry's night of nights, the 28th annual Wheels Car of the Year Award. And what a night it's been for this industry. A black tyre fair with good food and wine, a swish audio-visual presentation, and a better roll-up of motor industry execs than you'd get at a Senate hearing on vehicle tariffs. For 1991, if nothing else, at least controversial. A dead heat between two cars which simply couldn't have represented more distant extremes of the spectrum. But are they a true reflection of product excellence, or just a thinly disguised grab for a bigger slice of the car maker's advertising dollar and across-the-counter magazine sales?
Congratulations, Nissan. Congratulations, Honda.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 1991 Wheels Cars of the Year, the Honda NSX and the Nissan Pulsar.
The Wheels Car of the Year award has had its ups and downs, a notable down being the award to the ill-fated Laing-Peach 76. Only months later, off the market, and Leyland Australia closed down along with it. Could the 1991 award have been the kiss of death for Nissan? Obviously, Managing Director Leon Daphne had no idea it would be less than a month before he announced the closure of Nissan Australia's manufacturing plant.
We're very pleased from the point of view that we're going to sell a lot of Pulsars, we're going to make a lot of Australians employed, we're going to help a lot of our dealers sell and make their business grow.
At the other end of the spectrum, guest judge, former Beyond 2000 reporter Carmel Travers, was glowing in her appraisal of the Honda NSX.
I voted for the NSX first time round because I felt that more than anything else, even though it was out of the price range of most motor vehicle buyers, it actually represented what I think of as a responsible future. Not because of that car, but because of the design process that has gone into it, because of thought in developing aluminium engine, aluminium chassis, and all aluminium cars. Not even that I believe aluminium is necessarily the only way to go, but at least it says, let's design a car that pays acknowledgement of the fact that we can no longer have all steel, heavy cars that are gas guzzlers, that are unkind to the environment. So philosophically, I thought the NSX said a lot of important things to me.
Honda Australia Managing Director Neil Robertson wasn't quite as effusive.
If you think about Mr. Honda, he'd only been making cars for less than 30 years, and to go from the funny little motorbike things that he was making to the NSX now is a remarkable advancement.
In Sydney a week later, it was Motor Magazine's turn. And today we look at the other end of the scale, an award that's just as important, but an award made by 44 of Australia's top motoring journalists. This is not an award that's restricted just to a selected few. Again, industry personalities turned out in force. The presentation, yet another audio-visual show. Motors Award presentation may not carry the black tie prestige of its opposition, but its system of category winners, plus the outright best car award, and the fact that it's judged by a less elitist group, does give it tremendous weight in the industry. Motors editor David Robertson explains.
The Motor Best Car Awards are now in their 10th year. And this is the third year that we've presented category winners as well as an overall Best Car Award. With the voting system modelled on the internationally accepted European and Japanese Car of the Year Award judging systems, our awards are, I believe, the most democratic of the type in the nation. But it's Australia's full-time professional motoring journalists who decide which cars deserve a claim.
And so to the moment that everyone was waiting for.
The overall winner of the 1991 Motor Best Car Award is the Mazda 91.
So everyone gets a prize, or so it seems. Nissan takes home Best Small Car and Best Sports Car. Mitsubishi picks up Best Family Car. And Mazda takes home Best Luxury and the prestigious Best Car Award. I asked David Robertson what he thought gave Motors Awards the edge.
Well, I'm biased, but I don't think there's really any comparison because ours is truly national. It's not Motor Magazine's award, it's in effect the award bestowed by the nation's motoring press. 44 judges from around the country, all of them professional road testers who drive all the new cars week in, week out, and really know what they're talking about, and I think it's the way to go. It's the way the European Car of the Year Awards judge, the way the Japanese Car of the Year Awards judge. I think it's the most fair, democratic way to do it.
At less than half the price of Honda's award-winning NSX, it's this car, the new Mazda RX-7, that's set to create a real legend. Car art, staggering twin-turbo performance, a racer, investment, it's all there. Some claim Mazda lost the plot with the current RX-7. Sporty, but bland. Mazda 7 does have a lot to live up to. It redefined sports cars 15 years back. Now the third generation is, I believe, set to be a real classic, every bit in the mould of the red cars from Maranello. Yes, it is that good. It's a conventional front engine, rear drive, fuel-injected, twin-turbo rotary. What Mazda's calling a pure sports car. No spaceship gimmicks, just a romantic, emotional design with a front midships engine. All splendid stuff, but does it work? It is the first sequential twin-turbocharged production car in the world. Now, if that sounds like you need a 5-year physics course to understand what's going on, well, it is in fact fairly simple. Consider that when the second turbocharger comes in, you've got an enormous extra boost of power. Now, what Mazda have done to control that is to put in what they call a bypass valve to overcome the surge zone. What happens is that there is a phenomenal amount of power, but there's very smooth delivery. It is a fantastic job they've done with it. There's 21% more power. This first test car had only 3,500 Ks up, but backed Mazda's claims. Just 13.7 seconds for a standing 400 metres. Expect 250 clicks top whack, and I saw 6.2 for 100 Ks from standstill. And not hungry. 13 litres per 100 Ks, that's 21 miles per gallon. Remember those old 67 R100s? Mazda said then, neck-snapping power. Now, 25 years on, this is the real thing, and that's not all. Rear-end design lifts the lid on Japan's American diplomacy. Forget the concert hall Japanese clarion, this is an acoustic wave Bose system. Yep, all that plumbing is part of the sound system to stroke your eardrums with emotive audio. And the list goes on. Airbag safety, speed-sensitive steering, ultra-low R1650 92V tyres, aluminium panels, so-called fighter canopy aero wave roof for a 3-1 CD factor. This is all function like cruise control, an expensive alloy for the hot shoes, classic touches, and a top number for multi-purpose form and sculpture, a top shot for Best Car Magazine's Lensman, and enough to give you a wheel wobble. The new RX-7 is superb handling and balance, mercurial performance, a high tensile lightweight that can deliver the punch of Jet Fenwick with the style of Julia Roberts. This is no ordinary sports car.
On the Melbourne Motor Show, that's our show. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have, and we'll be back with more as an exciting motoring year rolls on.
All in the next editions when we'll see you on the move.